What's good, fam? We back with another video. I just released my full overview of the MPC Sample a few hours ago, and now I want to come back with you and show you a few more things that you can do with this cool little thing. Follow me. All right, so right now I got a basic little beat that I made using the MPC Sample, a combination of using the built-in microphone to sample that, and some claps, which is, I turn that into a kick drum, that's the clap, and I made that into like a little hi-hat kind of thing. And just to show you, go into the filter, and adjust the filter back to normal. That's what it sounded like when I sampled it into the MPC Sample. Then I just went into the filter, bumped up the resonance, and then scaled it back till I got what I felt like was a decent kick drum. Kind of like a bass heavy kick drum. Didn't really mess with the clap a lot, or that. I just kind of pitched it up, that's all. Then added a few more sound and made a beat out of it. So here's the beat. And not really the best beat I could have did, but we got something to work with nonetheless. Now, one of the things I want to do with this thing is kind of see if I can fancy it up a little bit, basically put some sauce on it. And a few ways we can do that is kind of by playing with the effects. So the first thing I want to do is go to my pad effects, right? So now that I'm in pad effects, I want to play around with some of these effects in the pads and see how they sound on this beat. So want a little bit of reverb in it. So I'm just gonna hold the pad down a little bit and then hit that top button, which latches that reverb in. So now that reverb is gonna stay on there until I unlatch it. Now I wanna add some color. Let's fill that all the way up. Kind of like how it sounds with that on there. Let's lock that in. I like how this flanger sounds too. I don't want it all of it though. We're gonna go about right there. So I'm just putting a slight amount of pressure on it. Lock that in. Kind of got a little bit more life to it now. Now, let's go back to the main sample screen. And I feel like maybe it ain't loud enough. So if I hold shift, we can go to FX select, and we can select our knob effects for these K1, K2, K3 knobs. So right now I have the soft clipper selected. So now we go back to our main screen, and now I'll just hit the FX knob button and it activates K1, K2, and K3 for the soft clipper. So I just turn the drive all the way down. And the mix is at 100%. Let's increase this drive. Now you can kind of overdo it if you push it too hard. make it at about 69%. Now I can change the mix if you want. Give it a little bit of grime on the edge. Change the type of soft clipping on here. I think I like this one. Now I hit the pad effects knob again to turn that off. And I've already showed you flex beat. Might as well play with that a little bit. So I think, oh, that's pretty cool with this thing. I like how you can do that. Turn a basic beat into something a little bit more spicy. Still not like, this ain't the best beat in the world, but it's something to play around with. And this is, in my opinion, a really good scratch pad. You can take this thing out and kind of mess around with it, find something you like on the fly. Because like I said, we got a battery, we got all of that stuff built in. And this thing is small enough you can really take it anywhere and kind of be inconspicuous with it. Wait a minute. Hold up. Y'all keep coming back and watching all my videos. It says that 88% of y'all ain't subscribed. Come on, man. Do me a solid. You like my videos? What you waiting on? Go ahead and hit that button. All right. That's all I got to say. Back to the video. Also, I almost forgot. Another thing that the MPC Sample can do that no other MPC can do is if you are making a beat or any type of production with the MPC Sample and you just happen to accidentally unplug it or turn it off or the battery dies or something, some kind of mishap, maybe you running on battery power and for some reason the battery died, you forget to plug it up or charge it up or something, and you're in the middle of making a beat and you forgot to save it. You didn't save it. Well, with the MPC Sample, that's not a problem at all. Because when you get power into it and turn it back on, let's try to get this thing plugged back up. Guess what? This thing is going to power on and it's going to go right back to the beat exactly where you left off and you won't lose any information. Autosaves everything right back where you were. No other MPC does that, and that's a really dope feature in this MPC Sample. Now, let's move on to something else I want to show you real quick. So now we got a empty project, and I'm going to leave this project empty because there's another cool thing that I think I want to show you. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and open up Serato Studio. All right, so I got a basic project opened up in Serato Studio, just the default new project, and in Serato Studio, you can use the MPC Sample as a basic MIDI controller. So if I hit pad 1, corresponds to the kick in Serato Studio. And all of the other pads also match up. So if you wanted to, you can use this. To make a beat in Serato Studio. Who needs the Serato slab when you got something like this, huh? Now, this doesn't control everything in Serato Studio, but I am kind of using Serato Studio as a sound module. The pads are playing the sound through Serato Studio and nothing is actually being recorded into the MPC, but it does record the MIDI data and it will play it back through Serato Studio. And you can resample it into the MPC later on if you want to do that. So check this out. I'm gonna go ahead and hit sequence record. Look at that. So this kind of opens up a few more possibilities. You can do this probably with any DAW or software out there. I'm just messing around with this thing just to show you there's a lot you can really do with this thing. Now, in addition to that, you can also use your USB-C cables to connect this thing to anything that's a USB-C sound source, whether that's your cell phone, iPad, tablet, anything USB-C that has audio that makes noise will probably work with this thing. I've messed around with a few different things, whether it's audio from the computer, audio from a phone, audio from a tablet, and all of those things have worked for me. Now, I do know that the Live 3 had a problem with Android phones for a little while. I don't know if this will have that same issue. I don't have an Android to test it out. I'm sure somebody will. I've also seen a lot of people asking questions, wondering if this thing had key groups. So as of right now, no, this does not have key groups. It only has the 16 levels, and I don't think that it has enough RAM in here for key groups because I believe it only has 1 gigabyte of RAM. Could be wrong on that, but the RAM is very small. As an example, I can show you one of the things that I think is a flaw in this unit because of the RAM limitation, and that is this. So if you go to, let's say we're gonna go to, all right. So we just selected that sample and put it on pad 1. All right, so I'm gonna just record this in real quick, and I'm not really gonna change the sample. I got it 18 chops. I'm just gonna record all 8 of those chops in, and I'll show you the flow. Okay, so as you can see, there are a little bit of skips in between these chops, which would lead you to believe that you might want to warp these sample chops to kind of make them fit, right? So let's say you decided before you wanted to warp the sample, you wanted to pitch it. So after you pitch your sample, now you decide you want to warp the sample to get rid of those gaps. The problem is, with the round limitation in this thing, you can't pitch and warp at the same time. So if I go to warp the sample, I can get rid of those gaps in the sample, but as you can see, it took the sample back to the original pitch. So and on the screen, the semitone and the fine tune is grayed out now, so you can no longer pitch the sample if you warp the sample. Now, if you warp the sample to a certain degree, it does change the pitch a little bit. So that is kind of a flaw in this thing, that you can't warp a sample and pitch it at the same time. Is it a deal breaker? Not really. I can still find ways to work around it if I wanted to do it like that. Just one of the things that you want to keep in consideration when you're messing with this. Also, either you can only use one or the other. So if you want to use any type of pitching, whether it's 16 levels or just pitching the sample itself, you cannot warp the sample and pitch it at the same time. Now, if you do want to use 16 levels, maybe you want to go something else, you hit 16 levels and go type, you could change it to velocity. Or you can go filter. But whenever you try to go to pitch, it says it's unavailable because warp is activated. So that is the only real limitation that I found to this thing, that you're actually, it's kind of hard grounded. Now, on your sequence screen, it's kind of where you get all of your information. Whether you're on sequence 1 through 10, you change your sequences by hitting the corresponding pad. So pad 1 is sequence 1, pad 16 is sequence 16, so on and so forth. So it's kind of easy to bounce between sequences just like that. If you hold down this top button up here, it's where you can change your master tempo to whatever you want it to be. You can set your record quantize, you can turn that off. The BPM, set it between global and sequence, so you can kind of change that if you want to. And down here at the bottom is where you can kind of adjust your swing and your quantize. So if you, right now I got it set to 16ths. So you can go down here to change that to 8 30 seconds or whatever it is you want it on. And also your bar length. So 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, whatever. I usually use 2 bars or 4 bars. So, helpful information, just so you can get your way through this thing pretty quick once you get your hands on it. I think I kind of like this sample, and I like how these chops came out. So let's go ahead and do something with it. We go to Bank B, sample select. Let's find us some drums in here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put Mother Duck on here. Run some compression through this thing. Now, if you hit shift on Mother Ducker, you have a boost. You can raise the output. Alright, so I guess I'm done playing around with this thing for now. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next one. And if you want to grab an MPC sample, I definitely have some links in the description. As always, I'm out.